The wind that day was relentless. I decided to leave it in because you can't truly understand the devil's playground without hearing his roar. They called it Black Vomit. That's how the pioneers described this place in their journals. As they struggled across the jagged rocks of Idaho in 1862, they saw a curse, but Native Americans saw a storied land. NASA saw a training ground, and I found a classroom and a lesson I didn't expect.
Okay, I made it up that. I'm not sure what's up over the ridge, and this wind is really getting strong.
Welcome to Craters of the Moon, where perspective changes everything. They say how we see things depends on the stories we tell ourselves about them. To the pioneers on the Oregon Trail taking Goodale's cutoff, this was Black Vomit, a cruel obstacle that shredded their wagon wheels and their endurance. But long before the immigrants, the Shoshone-Bannock tribes knew the lava fields were both resource and riddle. This is reflected in their great serpent story that made sense of a violent earth and of a spiritual power that commanded cautious respect. They also knew that even in the middle of a harsh landscape, there are Kipukas, little havens of defiant resilience in this scorched landscape. They reveal a truth I often forget, that what looks like desolation is often a hiding place for grace. It took nearly a century for the real story about this so-called wasteland to be revealed. In the 1920s, an adventurer named Robert Limbert traversed these lands. While working for National Geographic, he photographed its otherworldly beauty. He even sent a scrapbook to Calvin Coolidge, a gesture that helped convince the president to protect this wilderness. In 1924, Craters of the Moon officially became a national monument and joined a short list of federally protected wonders, turning what many called a wasteland into a national treasure for over 100 years. The Visitor Center was built as part of the National Park System's Mission 66 program and was completed in 1966. In 1969, a new kind of explorer arrived. NASA sent Apollo astronauts to walk these very craters. But first, they needed a crash course in field geology. Training brought real surprises, like rock samples that baffled experts, brutal winds that fouled their gear, and split-second decisions in the field that reshaped mission plans. Lessons the astronauts later said paid off on the moon. But this land doesn't care whether we're astronauts, immigrants, Shoshone, or simple seekers like me. We all face the same hazards: shifting cinders, jagged rocks, and the fierce buffeting wind. As for me, it forced me to reach for a strength beyond my own. Just a short walk from the campground is the North Crater Flow trailhead. The trails I hiked were well groomed, and I really appreciated the park's efforts to minimize human impact on this fragile wilderness. Those steps also made navigating the slick cinders much easier. Along the way, I passed one of the park's iconic limber pines, found only at higher elevations. Their branches are so flexible, they can literally be tied in a knot. This helps the tree withstand the park's strong gusty winds and heavy snow loads. Just past the amphitheater lies one of the monument's oldest sites, Devil's Orchard. I didn't spot any apples, but it's a fitting name for this volcanic gallery.
This is the North Crater Flow Trail. It's accessible. Just beautiful.
It felt like an outdoor museum, complete with interpretive signs and a paved boardwalk, all thoughtfully designed to protect the delicate ecosystem. As I wandered the boardwalk, the interpretive signs told the story of this bizarre landscape. One introduced me to Pahoehoe lava, smooth, ropey sheets that cooled into glassy, folded textures, like nature's own brownie batter. And the rougher-looking lava is called A'a. This is what the pioneers were referring to when they dubbed it black vomit, the jagged, impassable lava that tumbles into broken piles. Then came the features born from the cooling chaos, pressure ridges and squeeze-ups, where still molten lava buckled the crust and pushed up through cracks, freezing like toothpaste in mid-squeeze. And towering nearby, cinder cones built from gas-rich eruptions that flung blobs of lava skyward to rain down as cinders around the vent. Another sign explained the age of these flows, roughly 2,000 years old, dated using core samples from an ancient limber pine, nicknamed the Triple Twist. Its growth rings revealed about 1,350 years of life on this young lava. The interpretive trail was an educational introduction to the monument, kind of like a supervised field trip, but sometimes nature can be a demanding teacher. Test first, lesson afterward. I didn't know that the exam was waiting for me at the North Crater, and this final didn't come with a boardwalk or cliff notes.
On the North Crater Trail, and just stopped to catch my breath and stand in this little piece of shade that this pine tree kindly offered. And this is the view. Big something out there. Very windy up here, as you can probably hear. Still heading up. Gotta go on that ridge.
The Monument Trail Guide description of the route sounded magnificent, hiking into the crater mouth and then the rim of the big crater, ending with a descent to the Spatter cones. How cool is that, I thought, and off I went. The hike began with the right amount of challenge, and the weather seemed good too. Not too hot, although a bit hazy. Exploring the geology I'd learned about at the orchard made me think about the astronauts and their field geology lessons here. In this wide-open classroom, it was boots on the ground, and I imagined myself doing my own moonwalk.
The North Crater. Can't tell you how strong the wind is up here. It's very gusty today. I don't know. It's quite a distance down. And there's the trail. It goes down. I guess you can hike right into the crater. I'm gonna give it a try. Alright, the wind calmed down a bit. I'm on the opposite side of, I guess, something that's blocking the wind. But I'm gonna head down into the crater and follow this path down. It's a pretty steep grade, but it's not too bad. It's more that this is slick. Luckily I have the right shoes on for it. And you can see the crust in sections. My lens is dirty. Sorry. Also, I took a little tumble and cracked my lens protector, so I don't know how that's working out. I haven't been able to remove it yet. All right, onward. So, looks like they're trying to keep the trail from eroding over there. And then there's another section that goes up out of the crater there. Made it to the bottom.
It was surreal to be walking right on top of a massive Pahoehoe Flow.
This reminds me a little bit of the Petrified Forest National Park. It's nice that they have these markers here. There's snow up on that mountain. Someone told me that that's on there all year round. I don't know. It's so peaceful here. And the wind isn't blowing.
I see some squeeze outs and fissures here too. This reminds me of an area here called the Devil's Sewer that once contained a striking 35-foot squeezed out lava tube known as the lava snake. Over the decades, due to off-trail use and vandalism, by 1962 the formation was lost. It's a reminder of how fragile volcanic landscapes can be.
Okay, just came through that section of the crater. And look what I found here. It's a little bit dicey with all these loose rocks. Wonder how many critters have sheltered in there. This is what they call a lava tube. I'm looking at how this is striated, and it flowed through here and down into here. Look how smooth the bottom is. I don't know if you can see that. Well, that one goes back pretty far. So that's the cave I just came out of. And that's the trail into the crater. And now I'm heading back up. This way. Oh wow. Look at that little arch. From the opposite side of the crater.
It was also starkly beautiful, but from the very beginning, it was as if the wind was a warning.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, this section is not very much fun. Wow, look at this. That is a pit. Can't even see the bottom. Back up top. I'm almost gone forever. Reminds me of Battle. Really cool trail.
I thought I'd made it to the end. Relief washed over me. I believed I was heading down, and this meant some blessed relief from the wind. But the trail wasn't done with me. This was the unexpected test. Totally exposed on the crater rim, the wind slammed into me with a force that felt almost personal. I was feeling very small. It's humbling to realize that the wind doesn't care about my plans or that I'd forgotten my hiking poles. Walking that spine was like walking a tightrope. My legs felt wobbly. Desperate to get out of that wind, I hunkered down beneath a lone pine. And I whispered a prayer. Then I remembered a tiny pink flower I'd seen earlier. It was bobbing in the same gale, held steady by roots I couldn't see. In that instant, something I know but need to relearn again and again came to me. I belong to something far greater than myself. With that perspective, I stood up and hiked over the final ridge. As I descended from the rim, the trail smoothed out again. I found myself at the Spatter cones. My favorite was called the snow cone because snow lingers year-round in its shaded depths. These miniature volcanoes formed as gas and pressure escaped and sticky globs of lava plopped to the surface, piled up and cooled. Next was Big Crater. This is part of a cinder cone complex that runs along a fissure with many separate vents. Access to the craters has been paved to prevent further environmental harm. Oh, you can feel the cold.
It's always this windy up here.
And speaking of pavement, I took the easy way back and followed the road. Walking back to the campground, my legs were still wobbly, but my spirit was peaceful. The wind hadn't changed, but my perspective had shifted. Boardwalks are nice, but why would I need one when I'm hiking with the one who paves the way? Craters of the moon didn't change that day, but I did. I found my footing, not on the cinders, but in the grace that hides in the hardest places. And that is a story worth telling. The dust? It'll wash off in the shower tonight, but this quiet shift in my soul, that's the part that stays. And honestly, it's a pretty good souvenir from the moon. If you think the moon was intense, wait until you see what they're cooking up in the desert. Thanks for watching, and happy trails.